RECONOMY is a very large and ambitious program. It's one of very few programs that have attempted to adopt a market systems development approach with a regional mandate. And regional means several different things to several different people. And it's something that we have kind of used this and other experiences that Agora have been part of to try to kind of understand and codify a bit more. So I think firstly, the regional mandate can mean that you're trying to address common problems between countries. So by working in several countries, you can learn something from one and apply it in another. You can also address shared problems which exist between across borders, which is often a problem where you operate with single country mandates that don't have license to, if there's an intervention partner that exists in a different country across the border, you don't really have license to develop a relationship and provide them with funding or support. And it can also lead to efficiencies in terms of common actors. So there may be multinational companies where it's not sufficient to get the interest to engage in a single small nation with a single market. But once you're offering 12 countries and 12 markets and a common approach, then all of a sudden you've got a bit more sway. So those are the three sort of parameters by which a regional program is justified and where a market systems development approach might make sense to adopt with a regional as opposed to a multi-country program. And so the stage we're at now with RECONOMY, we have to try somehow with limited resources in terms of Agora, limited resources in terms, and in fact more so in terms of the teams on the ground. We have to do market systems analysis, which includes understanding and scoping the position of target groups, clarifying who those target groups are, understanding the systems and sectors in which they're involved, and trying to understand how those systems work on a 12-country basis. And we're just really in the first incremental stages of kind of making progress along that diagnostic process, where we've gathered information, we understand the kind of macroeconomic conditions, but the differentiator of the MSD approach as opposed to other approaches is that granularity. Why does that person in that company behave in a certain way, and how do we get that behavior to change? We're not going to know that from this kind of helicopter view that we've got at the moment. So what we're in the process of right now, and we plan to continue, is to deepen that to a granular level, probably being selective in terms of where we go deep and making some relatively quick and dirty normative judgments on geographies or sectors, or you've got to start somewhere. And the pilots that RECONOMY has, the sort of quick win pilots that RECONOMY is engaged in are providing some of that information, learn by doing. But we're also going to engage in a parallel kind of more formalized diagnostic process. But even for that, we're going to have to make some assumptions and kind of dive in with them. So if you were to look for generalizable lessons from this, then I think you need to be selective about where you deploy your resources. RECONOMY will end up being a 12-country program, or at least having impact in 12 countries. But there are several different ways it might get there. If you think of those three sort of categories of rationales for a regional program that I described, the common problems, to understand that there are common problems, you have to have a deep diagnostic process in each of these countries. But you may get to the point where you start work in one country, and then you get to learn over time that it does apply elsewhere without having done that diagnostic process. So you may start the diagnosis in, say, 5 countries and get, or you've done the helicopter view and then you take it down a step in 5 countries, then you end up with 3 sectors in 5 or 3 countries or something, but then you build it back up from there. And, you know, across a 7-year program, you don't need to do everything at once. You just need to make sure that what you are doing is good, of good quality.